I've been in the hot seat before, and I need to talk about some things. First, just a real quick background. I came from a serious drug addiction for endless years.
Now, before you go further,
yes.
We are all appreciating all of the desire to sort of bring us down to speed with where you were.
And that's not it.
But we think that this is a very good gathering to just ask the question, is this question or this subject, is it the choosing of a high-flying disc or otherwise? Because
No question. No question.
No question what?
That it's coming from a place of a high-flying disc.
All right.
Abraham, the only reason that I wanted to provide just a real brief background.
The only reason that I wanted to just carve out a pipeline to something that I don't want before I started carving out a pipeline toward what I do want is because I think that giving myself a disadvantage is somehow to my advantage.
That's not it.
We're nitpicking. We're nitpicking.
No, Abraham, the only reason I wanted to start there is because I've just entered into being one of Forbes' 1,000 wealthiest people in the world, and I simply wanted to give you the background because I wanted to make sure that you knew when answering my question that I am an incredible, deliberate creator, and I'm not going to be one of these people that says, but this. So I really don't have any areas of my life. I'm more coming from a place of burning curiosity. I'm going to be at your gathering with Dr. Dyer November 13th in Anaheim. And I'm hoping that Abraham can remember this subject matter when you are together with him. So one of the things, and not to pick out one person against the other, but this is, and I'm really not trying to do that. I think teachers are incredible, and I'd like to find similarities among teachers, and all of this is just such a burning curiosity. So I really have to get all this out. So this is the one thing that I find, and the last time that I was here, you had said, well, look at all these teachers that end up making money off of their books that claim abundance is something that is something that maybe should be walked away from. Spiritually, maybe not the best. The Tao talks about gain by losing, lose by gaining. That this type of thought process, Dr. Dyer almost seems to wear it as a badge when he says he gives away everything nowadays. And of course, one of the first things he did when he got sick was fly to see you. So this is just the way of wealth, and I'm speaking specifically about monetary wealth. My question to you is really very simple, and yet in some ways complicated. But if you could speak to the process of you seem to suggest, with all your teachings, and I have everything that pretty much that you've ever done. I mean, it's, and I've memorized most of it. I mean, it's really served me well. When your cup is full, stop pouring. One of the things about me is my cup is very full, but yet it's not totally full because I still want another yacht, and I'm focused on what you say. One of the things that I love to do is to be in the desire of things and let it kind of drip from my tongue in the wanting of it, but yet not having it. And that has served me incredibly well, to be in the vibration.
That's perfect desire with no doubt, desire with knowing. It doesn't feel, nothing feels better than that.
Yes, even having it in some ways.
Nothing feels better than moving forward into the new.
Yes. But when you're speaking with him, and this whole idea of kind of less is more, and giving away everything, when you talk about desire and wanting things, and getting things and going along that path and that whole deliberate creation scenario, which is just, as you said, unbelievable to know that the wind's at your back all the time and to really work through that process internally. It's just a really special thing, and I can't imagine that being non-noble. And what I'm trying to do is figure out, because some of what Dr. Dyer says resonates, that whole idea of giving away your material wealth. If you could just speak kind of in general to some of that.
We are eager to have a conversation about this, because there is a misunderstanding on the part of most people about abundance. We're going to get right to the heart of what you're pointing at, and we know that it will be a satisfying conversation for you, because it's going to take you to a new place that you've not been before, and nothing feels better than that. So, we've been talking to all of you for a while about how creation works, and many of you have come to a place that you're applying it rather specifically and rather effectively. And when you then include into that conversation this handful of understandings that we never get it done, that no matter where you stand, and no matter what you've accomplished in terms of first alignment and then manifestational realization or demonstration of your alignment, that with that new acquisition or accomplishment, you have also achieved a new vibrational place to stand with a new set of contrasting experiences that causes yet another rocket of desire, and therefore potentially another gap between what you're up to speed with and what you've reached for, and therefore another opportunity to experience the delicious exhilaration of closing yet another gap. So when you understand that there will always be another gap, and that the fun is in closing that gap for the purpose of opening another gap for the purpose of closing the gap, then you begin to realize that it never has been about the destination, about the acquisition, about the manifestation, about the materialization. Those have always been just the excuse along the way. We said last week, in preparation for this conversation, that the joy is in the journey. Of course, everyone's heard those sentiments for some time, but the reason that you want it is because of the journey to it, and it's the journey that is really it. So what happens after a while, and you almost have to get to the place Jerry used to say, that until you have everything that you can imagine having, or know that you could have anything that you could imagine having, you don't really get to the heart of what it is all about. As long as there is a destination toward a thing, then you can sometimes be sidetracked from understanding what the true thing that you're reaching for really is. And so this may be his way of trying to explain to those who are listening to him that the material things have less importance to him than the journey toward them. That in time, if you are a manifester of items or things, that can become cumbersome. But we want to submit that nothing can become cumbersome if in your acquisition of it, you also then hatch a new plan to comfortably be with it. And so we think it's here's an easy way to say it in the context of what we've been talking about here about laying new pipes. So you laid lots of pipes to lots of things that you wanted, and now, because you only have so much attention that you can give to so many things, some of those pipes that were wide open at one time are now closing up from neglect while you are opening other pipes. And who cares what pipeline you've been down? The only thing that you care about is the pipeline that you're moving down now. Yes?
Yes.
So And because there is no regression, there is no looking back, sometimes people, it doesn't have to be, but sometimes you feel when you look at acquisitions that you acquired or creations that you created when you were at a different vibrational consistency level, sometimes when you address them or focus on them, it reactivates within you where you were instead of where you are. And where you are is what matters most. Where you are and where you're going, that's the freshest path, you see. So we've been saying to all of you for a while that once it's manifested, it's really old news. By the time it's manifested, you've been way down the pipeline and you've way spent your vibrational currency.
But Abraham, one of the things that I do, and when I was talking about having something that I want and dripping it from my tongue, is before I actually move into that acquisition of that thing, whatever that is I make sure that I'm going to want it down the line. In other words, you talked, and you've had several times where you brushed up against the idea of wanting something after you have it, and the importance of that. You stated on one seminar where you said people are saying that they want something, and they're thinking on the things that they don't have, whereas the whole kind of rampage of appreciation and all of that also includes things that you already have. So in some ways, I disagree with that. For me, if I don't want it, it just goes away. I don't keep it around. If I don't love it, then it doesn't stay. It just finds its way away from my consciousness. But for the most part, when I have that decision...
And how is that different from what Dr. Dyer is saying?
Well, because it's the journey. The journey toward the acquisition of something, really, it's the motive. I think that's the big difference.
Let's call it the focus motive. The focus motive, because focus is everything. And so we agree with you. We get what you're getting at, that to have something that calls you is just the best. But we want to ask you this question, and you may have already said it, but we want to really focus as we ask and you reply. When that feeling of the deliciousness of it dripping from you as you are thinking about it, are you able to make any distinction? We're not trying to put this thought in your mind. We're really asking, can you feel any distinction between the clarity and the purity and the perfection of the non-resisted thought? Is it more or less delicious to you than the manifestation when it occurs?
It's almost like it's more in some ways.
Yeah,
that's why I linger with it.
Because in the thought, you can make it non-resisted. And in its reality, now others are observing it, others have an opinion about it. It's something for you to deal with or tend to. And so there is a slight diminishment, and this is something that we've been wanting to saying and wanting you to hear, our physical friends, for a very long time, is that the focus, the reason for the focus is what it is all about, and the actualization of it is just the natural byproduct of the focus. But it was always the focus that was meant to be your most satisfying experience. And the best way that we can make you really hear that is by saying to you that those like us, and like Jerry, non-physical beings who are focused with you in your now reality, it's all about mind for us. It's all about emotion for us. It's all about thought flow, non-resistant thought flow for us. And so when you find those moments where you're just salivating at the deliciousness of it, what you have found is the perspective of Source, who is so at one with energy and so not needing manifestation that you literally become Source-like. That really is what seeing through the eyes of Source is like. Now, this is not a conversation that we can have with most humans, because most humans then assume that we're just trying to get you to get in your dream world and start imagining and stop complaining about the things you don't have and just make the best of things that don't feel good. And that is far, far, far from what we're doing here together.